Welcome back. Working remotely from home has raised a lot of concerns about burnout and stress. So we're going to talk about coping strategies. Please welcome psychologist Dr. Joti Samra. And Joti, you and I talked right before we were beginning this segment, and I wanted to, talk about burnout. People use that a lot. What does burnout mean in psychological terms, rather than just
Yeah,
throwing that term around?
great question. And so burnout is not just being tired, right? We all get tired. And when we're looking at clinical burnout, what we're seeing is an overwhelming state of physical, emotional, and cognitive exhaustion. And so where the kind of sleep in for a weekend or a week off doesn't charge you up. And most notably, what we notice is this reduced effectiveness in our ability to do our jobs. And most notably, and something that we can detect if we're worried about a coworker or a partner, is a cynicism that people develop for a job that they previously loved. And so they'll be negative and cynical and really emotionally detached. And that's really that hallmark feature to keep an eye out for.
Okay. And then when you notice that, let's say about yourself, but more, I'm going to talk about partners. When you notice that, what do you do? I know you've got some contributors to why it happens. Do you sit down and talk to them, or do you maybe wait it out a little bit before you address it? Because it could be just a 3-day kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, when it gets to that level of kind of burnout with that level of exhaustion, we want to start to intervene because the longer we wait, the worse that it gets and the harder it is to come out of that. And so, what we have to do is meet the person that we're talking to where they're at. And a nice place to start is to just say, you're not kind of yourself these days, and I'm feeling a bit worried about you. How are you doing? Right? And you just kind of open that door. We know that when we tell someone something, that usually doesn't work, right? But what we want to be able to do is have a general conversation. And the reason is often for people, they're high performers and perfectionists that get to burnout, and they have a lot of pride in their work. So it feels very unsettling to feel like you're not able to meet the demands or do what you do in an effective way.
Would it be fair to say that since last March, all of us have experienced a little bit of burnout up and down? I would say since last March. Would it be fair to
Yeah,
say that?
absolutely. Yeah, when we think of what contributes to burnout, Marilyn, it's excessive demands every which way. And we think all of us, right? We have had to learn to do our jobs in new environments. We have had to learn 101 new platforms and systems and procedures. And the fundamental way that every single one of us in every single sector does our jobs has changed. And when we're cognitively on all the time and trying to learn and adapt and
Yes.
develop, my goodness, that's emotionally sucks the energy out of you. And, it's interesting because I
Mhm.
do a lot of work, and people used to, kind of early months would say, how the heck can we be burnt out if we're at home? And I said, we have so many more demands in unique ways now. And that is very taxing to us.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that was my next question. I've had more friends say to me, I've never been more tired and I'm working from home, which I thought was going to be a dream come true. Not so much the case. So, one of your key contributors to workplace burnout is the lack of work life balance. I mean, you know, usually when we take a break here on the show, I go, hey, I'm going to go down to Barbados or I'm going to go visit my sister in Washington. There's no traveling, there's no nothing. I got a lot of this, but not a lot of this. And that could be a burnout factor.
Yeah, absolutely. So those clear demarcations, right, Marilyn, that you're talking about that we'd have between work and vacation and time, and even in the course of a week, those rituals that we would go through, right? Get up in the morning, get in the shower, get your morning coffee or tea, and then the commute, right? The drive or the walk or the ride. That for
Yes.
our brain is
Yeah.
really good, right? Our brain's like, chill out. I'm transitioning to a new environment. And here's the thing is when crappy stuff is happening at home, as it inevitably does for all of us at some times, separating and being able to leave for the day and go to work is really good for our
Yeah.
mental health. And similarly,
Right.
when work might be demanding, we leave at a certain time. We kind of have that ritual of getting into our home environment, and those demarcations were really good for our mental health. And people say, "Oh, it's a cakewalk working at home," and I say, "No, it's not that we're just home doing our jobs. We are in these brand new environments trying to do a job that's different than the job we all did a year ago." And we have new coworkers, we have new schedules, the laundry's around the corner, the kitchen is right there, like everything is there. So we're always on. There's always something for us to be doing.
That's right. That's right. And for me, when I'm home, I can always find something to do, and I have to go and say to myself, "Could you just stop right now? Just
Yeah.
go watch a TV show or something. Do something." Now, also, people feel isolated, and I know with our group here at the Marilyn Denis Show, we feel very disconnected at times, even though we are
Mhm.
connected from our colleagues, and that you miss that too. That's where friendships are carved out.
Absolutely. And Marilyn, we're fundamentally social creatures, right? We will literally die in the absence of human contact. And so most of us spend more of our waking hours with our work families than we do with our kind
Mhm.
of real families. And so many people, it's such a common sentiment. We have such an appreciation now for our coworkers and our offices and that water cooler talk and the lunchroom banter. And now when we're communicating in these unique ways through technology, we're losing much of that richness. There's this quote that I love from Sigmund Freud, who's a little bit kooky, but had a beautiful quote: "Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness." And we know for all of us that work is a very
Yeah.
critical way that we contribute to community and we get meaning and purpose and we challenge our brain and we get to interact and we get to learn
Yeah.
new skills. These things are very good for our mental health.
Right. And it also, you're talking about the little vacation you have when you get in the car, you go to work and you're greeted by your coworkers. It could be a good day, could be a bad day, but it's just another day and a chapter of building who you are in this world. And now we are kind of situated in this bubble, a safe bubble, but we feel disconnected. So, and not to mention, and I'm going to mention this quickly, for all of you that are taking care of your younger children, and then there's elder care. That's another burnout factor too, and that's a segment unto its own. And we are feeling for you. Before you go, I want to talk about very quick solutions, at least
Mhm.
stepping stones to get to the work life harmony. What would you suggest that we do? I think you want us to talk to our colleagues when it's not about work. That's for sure, right?
Absolutely right. And that, again, that richness of how's your weekend? Not that we have as many exciting things to be sharing these days, but getting to know people and connect. And so, our
Yeah.
meetings, for example, I'm suggesting to people have social hours, add 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning or the end, have a virtual lunch,
Yeah.
do social things, try to do your best to stimulate. And I know it's clunky and it's a little clumsy and it's not quite the same, but we need that, right? And so there's a
Yeah.
few things that we can do is be very self-aware first, right? Like when you start to feel you're more irritated or annoyed with the kids or the husband or not feeling as happy, well, a little self-check to say, I need to probably do something in a different way. And again, I know it's challenging, but in our home environments, so easy, our little workplace, right? Our computer and devices follow us to the dining room and the living room and the couch and the bed. And we need to create those demarcations and boundaries in our houses. So find a space,
Mhm.
make that your workspace, flip down your computer, turn your phone off, have a certain time at the day where you put your phone on airplane mode and have no device rules. We need to unplug because we will just continue to deplete ourselves if we don't do that.
And that old work life harmony, you can always plan. And then when we get the green light to go, we'll have those things planned for a future trip or, that sort of thing. I mean, those are fun things to do. Frustrating that we can't do them right now. Yes, but one day we'll be able to do them.
Absolutely. And it's perspective, right? That's what you're saying, Marilyn, that when we
Yeah.
can keep that perspective, that this isn't going to be forever and we'll be able to get back to those routines and to take the
Mhm.
opportunities now, right, to do things that are naturally charging us up. And I'm a big fan of what we call flow activities. And so those are activities where we naturally lose sense of time, right? Dancing, singing,
Yeah.
art, playing the guitar, gardening, right? All these wonderful things where we lose sense of everything else that's demand. So add those into your life because that can serve as a little buffer against burnout as well.
All right. I love all those ideas. Thank you, Joti. It's so nice to see you, Dr. Samra. We'll talk to you again. And thanks for explaining what burnout is all about. We appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure to see you. Take good care.
All right. We're going to take a break, everyone. We'll be right back.